So the first Avenger movie is the culmination of stories of earlier movies, but we should all know that all Avenger movies are complete box office hits. All Marvel movies, even those standalone about Iron Man, Hulk, and so on, are box office hits. But Avenger movies are all time box office hits. I think they even surpasses right now Titanic, and they are at the top of the lists of by earning. And Avenger movies are really the culminations of earlier stories, as I said, and they also represents they show us all the heroes which we see in all earlier standalone movies. So for example, Avengers includes first Avenger includes Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk, and also Black Widow, and Hawkeye, which are but they were also I think Black Widow was in Iron Man 2. And here we have this plot which we saw in Thor movies, then that Loki fall into the earth, and he wants to conquer Earth by the with the race of Rakshari creatures, and our heroes needs to stop him and those Rakshari race. And I must say that when I first watched Avenger movies, I had many problems with this movie. So, for example, that almost no person died on the screen when the whole New York is almost destroyed or severely damaged in a couple of districts. But now, from the perspective of years, I see that it is understandable from the perspective of Marvel movies, that they are not to show us the reality. They want to show us this comic version of reality, but nevertheless they are still rather they are not very humorous. We don't have many humor in them, and they told us the story which which is still not only important but sometimes very serious, and of course we have, but even if we have a very laughable scenes. So for example, there is this one huge scene when all I assumed all people laughed that when Loki is shocked by shocked by Hulk power, and he orders him to stop this mayhem, and our green monster is just smashing him to the ground in several huge fist punches. There were humorous moments, laughable or even very laughable, but still the series was the whole movie was rather serious, and we see that, for example, some of the heroes don't go along with each other. So for example, Iron Man as this narcissistic character is not communicating well with Captain America, who is the son of a completely different age, because he was born before Second World War. So he is rather very paragonish character with no sense of humor and no sense of sarcasm, and Tony Stark as Iron Man is sarcastic almost all the time. And sometimes our heroes even fight with each other in this movie. For example, Thor is somewhat defending Loki's actions. Only after he discovered that Loki killed several people in Germany, he backs off and he's prepared to defeat Loki, because at the beginning he's defending him, saying that Loki was his brother, but when he got the message that Loki killed several people, he said he was adopted. And it is of course true, because Loki is adopted. He's from the frost giant family. He was adopted by Odin, father of Thor. And of course this Rakshari race, which was really shown in a very good manner, because most of the Marvel movies are very heavily CGI developed, but still I think the impact, the fights, the destruction was still very well shown in this type of movie. Because sometimes I would argue that the CGI effects almost show these movies like AI generated, without flow, without soul. But here in Avenger movies, the situation is different, and unfortunately, I watched only 3 Avenger movies without Endgame, which many people tell me is the best. Is the best of the Avenger movies, but still, I think it's also a very good idea for Marvel, not only to show us these different heroes, but show us the culmination of their stories. Because, for example, someone who missed, let's say, Hulk, but watched Iron Man in Avengers, he sees that all of these heroes are in the same universe, and they fight this much bigger evil in Avenger movies. So all of these Marvel movies are now one big universe, and this is a very it is an asset which is, I think, which put each of these movies even 1 point or even 2 points sometimes higher than if we, for example, give them a score only on its standalone story. And I must say that even though I think I think in Avengers they also managed to show every and each character in different way, sometimes very often in similar, because most of them for me unfortunately they also use their extraordinary speed, endurance, and strength to fight Rakshari. They are not. They don't use their cunning often or their intelligence to defeat Loki or Rakshari. But still, I would say that for such characters who sometimes even cannot work with each other well, the movie give each of them their own 5 minutes. So each of them was for me almost evenly important, because from my perspective the movies about Captain America are the best, and Guardians of the Galaxy are the worst. And of course, in the first Avenger movies, we didn't have Guardians of the Galaxy. But in Avenger movies, the director need to combine all these stories and all these heroes, and it is well done. If we of course forget that sometimes it's impossible to not destroy several hundred, even thousand people to try to protect whole the earth or the New York City, but nevertheless, Avenger movies are famous for their really epic story, because Avenger movies culminates all those stories, usually the story is really, really very, very epic. So the story of first Avengers was epic, and I think that maybe it was even surprise for the Marvel producers and directors that Marvel universe was so success. Because, for example, now we see that Amazon wants to develop Tolkien world, Star Wars bought Marvel, and they bought Disney bought Marvel, and then later they bought Disney, and they produced many Disney movies, and they still producing many Marvel movies and even TV shows. So we see that this was a success, and the success, I think, in one part is that we have the continuity of all those stories and all those heroes. For example, in a world of computer games, I see that those games who continue their stories, for example, like GTA series, even though the stories are different, but the world is the same in some ways. But for example, Dragon Age series, Mass Effect series, Gears of War series, Borderlands series, those series who are really well developed, produced new episodes, and we can be more connected to the characters. For example, we saw a very good character of Morrigan in first Dragon Age Origins, then later in Dragon Age Inquisition, and now in Dragon Age Veilguard. So you are interested what will happen to the Morrigan in the future. And the same situation is in Marvel universe, in Marvel stories. And Avengers stories are the culminations, and they are really the best stories of Marvel movies. Let me know in the comments what do you think about the first Avenger. Is it the best? Is it the worst? I think it's hard to say if it's the best. I didn't watch the Endgame, Avengers Endgame, but I think it's enough to say that it's the best for the conclusion of the story. Because all these stories before first Avenger, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, they have much more sense with the Avenger conclusion and with the Avenger movie. So because it in Polish it's spaja. It combines all these stories to this one grand story of all our heroes. Let me know in the comment what do you think about the first Avenger movie.